Let's cut the fluff. Women are not the mysterious, unpredictable creatures society makes them out to be. If you think acting like a servant will win her heart, you are already dead in the water. Welcome to Stoic Chisel. Look at the modern man. He sits staring at his glowing screen, waiting desperately for a text back. He showers her with compliments she hasn't even earned. He buys expensive dinners, hoping to bribe his way into her thoughts. He cancels his gym sessions just in case she wants to hang out. He leaves his own goals and his own friends behind to be at her beck and call. He sacrifices the very ambition that makes him a man. And for what? A half-hearted reply. A sudden canceled date. The agonizing, hollow feeling that he cares far more than she ever will. He is entirely predictable. He puts all his cards on the table before the game even begins. This is the modern matrix of dating. It is a prison built on desperation and overinvestment. Society tells you to chase. Social media conditions you to grandstand your affection for likes and approval. But reality is much colder. If you are tired of being a background character in your own life, it is time to wake up. Hit the subscribe button right now. Join a brotherhood of men who refuse to beg for attention. We are carving a new path. You have been programmed to believe that constant availability equals high value. You think that if you are always there, she will finally realize you are the one. But human psychology operates on a completely different frequency. Think about the things you value most in this world. Are they the things that are handed to you for free? Are they the things that crowd your space every single second of the day? No. You value what is scarce. You obsess over what is slightly out of reach. You desire what challenges you. Women are wired exactly the same way. They do not obsess over men who make themselves completely conquered on day one. They obsess over men who engage their emotions. They obsess over a puzzle they cannot immediately solve. The moment you make her the center of your universe, you lose your gravity. You become just another satellite, orbiting her life without a purpose of your own. This is where the ancient philosophy of Stoicism reveals a truth you have ignored. True power is not found in pursuing external validation. True power is found in complete mastery of the self. When you stop chasing, you stop running away from your own potential. You begin to anchor yourself. You build a life that is so compelling, she wants to step inside of it. You take back the keys to your emotional state. But simply stopping the chase is not enough. That is merely putting up your defenses. To truly rewrite her psychological wiring, you have to understand the mechanics of attraction. But holding back is just the defense. What happens when you go on the offense and attack her emotional wiring? That is next. To attack her emotional wiring, we must first forge the psychological weapon of scarcity. Scarcity is the fundamental, unforgiving law of value. Gold is valuable precisely because it is rare and difficult to extract. Dirt is worthless because it is absolutely everywhere. When you make yourself constantly available to a woman, you become the dirt in the landscape of her life. You actively lower your perceived value every single time you reply within seconds. You destroy your own worth when you drop your personal plans to fit seamlessly into her schedule. Women, like all human beings, are naturally drawn to what feels exclusive. They subconsciously desire what is difficult to attain. If you want her to obsess over you, you must master the ruthless art of being scarce. This does not mean acting arrogant or pretending to be cold and uninterested. It means actually having a life that heavily demands your time and energy. The very first step is to stop overextending yourself. Many modern men labor under the delusion that constant attention will force a woman to love them. They text her from the moment they wake up until they finally go to sleep. They enthusiastically agree to every single mundane plan she proposes. They make it painfully obvious that she sits on the highest pedestal of their lives. This strategy always backfires. Instead of feeling flattered, she begins to take you for granted. She realizes she has already won the game without having to play it. There is no challenge left for her to conquer. There is absolutely no excitement in a guaranteed victory. Being scarce means having your own uncompromising priorities. It means having a mission that does not revolve around her existence. When she sees that your time is fiercely guarded, she is forced to respect it. She realizes you are not just sitting in the dark waiting for a crumb of her digital attention. It sends a loud, undeniable psychological signal. You are a man with a purpose, and a man driven by purpose is the most intoxicating drug you can offer a woman. Scarcity also dictates the very rhythm of how you communicate. If you are always the first one to text, you rob her of the opportunity to actually miss you. Let the conversation breathe. Leave some empty space in the interaction. When you are not constantly invading her screen, her mind is forced to fill in the gaps. She starts wondering what you are doing. She starts imagining who you might be with. That exact moment of uncertainty is when you become intriguing. Do not mistake this for petty manipulation. This is the Stoic practice of respecting your most finite, irreplaceable resource: time. The Stoic philosopher Seneca wrote that we are not given a short life, but we make it short by squandering it on useless pursuits. Stop wasting your precious time hovering over a glowing screen waiting for validation. Show her that you are interested, but prove that you are never desperate. If she invites you out at the last minute and you are busy building your life, look her in the eye and say no. Tell her you will see her another time. This subtly reinforces that your world does not stop spinning just because she smiled in your direction. It elevates the time you actually do spend together, making it feel like an earned privilege. You are simply demonstrating that you value yourself above fleeting pleasures. When you carry yourself with this immovable level of self-respect, you create an irresistible gravitational pull. But scarcity alone is a blunt instrument if you ruin it by running your mouth. You must also master the dark art of mystery. If you want a woman to become obsessed with you, stop acting like an open book. Mystery is the most underrated, lethal tool in the psychology of attraction. It keeps her guessing at every turn. It keeps her eagerly waiting to uncover the next hidden layer of your character. When she feels like she does not have you fully figured out, her emotional engine stays running. The biggest, most fatal mistake modern men make is oversharing entirely too early. You meet a woman you are attracted to, and panic instantly sets in. You want to build a deep connection so desperately that you vomit your entire life story onto the table. You talk about your childhood trauma, your crazy ex-girlfriends, your deep insecurities, and your biggest fears within the first 3 dates. You have been brainwashed to think this shows vulnerability and emotional depth. In reality, it immediately neutralizes all tension, killing the excitement of discovery. When there is no mystery, there is zero intrigue. Keeping things mysterious does not mean you have to lie to her face. It simply means you act as the gatekeeper, pacing the flow of your own information. You control the faucet. Instead of answering every single question with a 10-minute, exhausting monologue, give her just enough to satisfy the immediate moment. Leave the intricate details hidden in the shadows. If she asks about your weekend, do not hand her an itemized, hour-by-hour itinerary. Say it was productive. Say you handled your business. and leave it exactly right there. Force her to ask follow-up questions if she truly wants to know no more. Make her work for the privilege of knowing you. Another core pillar of mystery is maintaining unpredictability in your daily routines. If she knows exactly when you will text, exactly what words you will use, and exactly how you will react, the spark instantly dies. The human brain is wired to ignore what is entirely predictable. Throw a massive wrench into the established pattern. Do not send that standard goodnight text every single evening like a programmed robot. Break the rhythm and watch how quickly she notices the shift. Mystery also deeply applies to your ambitions and your private lifestyle. Have massive goals and demanding projects that you do not fully explain to her right away. Let her see you working relentlessly on something she does not entirely comprehend. It creates the undeniable impression that your life has hidden, unexplored depths. She will naturally want to dive into those depths to figure you out. You also project mystery through pure, stoic calmness. Do not rush to explain yourself every time there is a moment of heavy silence. Most weak men are absolutely terrified of silence. They babble nervously to fill the void, desperate to keep the energy high. A stoic man lets the silence sit like a heavy stone. He is completely comfortable in the quiet. He forces her to sit with the awkwardness and the uncertainty. A man who does not feel the desperate need to over-clarify his every thought is viewed as immensely powerful. Marcus Aurelius wrote of the inner citadel, an impenetrable fortress of the mind. You do not invite just anyone into your citadel on the very first day. You engage in meaningful conversation, but you always leave a crucial piece of the puzzle missing. You leave enough unsaid that she is practically forced to come back for more. Mystery is not about being confusing or playing childish games. It is about showing her the tip of the iceberg and letting her imagine the massive, dangerous foundation resting quietly beneath the surface. Master this, and she will not just be mildly interested in you. She will be entirely consumed by the thought of you. You have now mastered the art of being scarce and the quiet power of the unseen. But holding back and staying quiet is only the defensive strategy. What happens when you step out of the shadows and actively hijack her emotional state? You have stepped out of the shadows, but now it is time to actively hijack her emotional state. If you want to command her attention, you must immediately stop trying to win her over with pure logic. You are not submitting an application for a corporate job. You are stepping onto a turbulent emotional battlefield. Attraction is never decided by how much rational sense you make. It is decided entirely by the depth of how you make her feel. This is the exact arena where the vast majority of modern men fail miserably. They lead with their statistics. They proudly list how stable they are, how much money they have saved, and how completely respectful they can be. But women do not fall in love with a piece of paper. Women do not chase resumes. They chase visceral experiences. You can have every single box checked perfectly on paper and still remain completely invisible to her. If you show up with flat, safe energy, she will tune you out in a matter of seconds. If you rely on robotic compliments and carefully rehearsed conversations, you become just another gray face in a sea of desperate men. To break through the noise, you must master the art of emotional contrast. But how do you create this contrast without turning into a chaotic mess? We will dissect that secret right now. Imagine you are sitting across from her at a coffee shop. Most men will lock into polite mode immediately. They nod enthusiastically, they smile too wide, and they eagerly agree with every single word she says. They are terrified of creating any friction. You must do the exact opposite. You must play with the tension. You must break the expected rhythm of the date. When she says something you genuinely disagree with, do not just nod and smile like a coward. Look her in the eye and calmly ask her to explain herself. Gently push back on her opinions. Create a spark of friction. And when she responds, do not jump desperately to fill the silence. Let the silence hang heavy in the air. Let her feel the intense weight of being truly observed. That specific space, between your absolute calm and her emotional reaction, is exactly where attraction is born. This is where the ancient power of Stoicism becomes your ultimate weapon. Stoicism does not mean acting numb or pretending you are a robot. It means achieving total emotional mastery. It means being the completely calm eye in the very center of her emotional storm. It is about having the dynamic range to laugh, to flirt, to challenge, and to go incredibly deep. But you remain firmly grounded to your core the entire time. Most modern men exist in only two extremes. They either overshare their emotions like a child, or they hide their emotions completely out of paralyzing fear. Both of these extremes brutally murder attraction. One drowns her in unnecessary drama, while the other leaves her feeling entirely cold. What actually works is ruthless emotional control. Not suppression, but direction. If she walks away from an interaction with you and feels absolutely nothing, she is never coming back. Triggering her emotions does not mean you are a manipulator. It means you are the masculine leader of the energetic exchange. It means you have the power to pause longer than expected when you look at her lips. It means sharing a story about a failure and what it taught you, instead of a story designed to brag. It means creating moments of profound silence where she catches herself studying the lines of your face because she cannot figure you out. That is emotional gravity. That is the invisible force that violently pulls her back into your orbit. She does not want to be impressed by your logic. She wants to be physically moved by your presence. But mastering your emotions is only half the battle. If she can predict your next move, the game is already over. Why does predictability destroy attraction so quickly? Keep listening. Let me tell you what instantly flatlines a woman's desire for you. Predictability. If she knows exactly what you are going to say before you even open your mouth, you are dead to her romantically. If she knows exactly what you will do on a Friday night, exactly what meme you will send, and exactly how many seconds it will take you to reply, she is already bored. That is not building a comforting connection. That is a guaranteed death sentence for attraction. Attraction dies the exact moment that routine takes the wheel. Here is where almost every single guy completely messes up the dynamic. They falsely believe that the more consistent and predictable they are, the more she will trust them and love them. But she is not looking for a safety net right away. She is looking for a lightning strike. Electricity never comes from being safe. It comes from sudden surprise, from sharp edges, and from a constant, lingering sense of the unknown. Do not get this twisted into thinking you need to play childish mind games. This is not about ghosting her for 3 days just to feed your own fragile ego. It is about aggressively breaking patterns. Because if she can perfectly predict you, she will never chase you. A woman's emotional nervous system is biologically wired for discovery. Novelty activates her deepest levels of interest. The unexpected jolts her awake. So when you endlessly text "good morning" every single day, you are not building attraction. You are handing her a boring script. And scripts never create sparks. Let me give you a very real scenario. She texts you late at night, fully expecting the usual comfortable banter to stroke her ego. Instead, you respond with complete detachment. You say you are working on something important and you will talk to her soon. No emojis. No lengthy explanations. Just pure, unbothered direction. Do you know what that does to her brain? It shatters her established rhythm. Now she is laying in bed, deeply thinking about you, instead of you staying up late thinking about her. Being unpredictable means you are completely unafraid to lead from your own masculine instinct. It means you do not operate based on a desperate need for her approval. Sometimes you will push back hard when she tries to playfully tease you. Sometimes you will let 5 seconds pass in total silence before you answer a simple question. Sometimes you will drastically switch the topic, flip the entire vibe of the room, or go completely silent mid-conversation. This is where true Stoicism separates the men from the boys. A Stoic man does not constantly perform for an audience. He simply responds to the present moment. He does not chase comfort or try to micromanage her perception of him. He embraces the chaotic flow of life, but keeps his internal center entirely immovable. A predictable man desperately needs daily validation to survive. An unpredictable man is wildly comfortable sitting in heavy tension. That is a massive, world-altering difference. Unpredictability also means you refuse to let her know exactly where she stands at all times. You do not do this by lying to her face. You do this by keeping just enough of your true self permanently out of her reach. You do not ever need to reveal every single fleeting thought or emotion in your head. When she cannot easily decode your every micro-expression, she is forced to pay much closer attention to you. Think of a powerful Roman emperor like Marcus Aurelius. He was deeply calm and rigidly stoic. But nobody in the entire empire ever fully knew the depths of what was going on behind his eyes. That is precisely where your true power lies. Your power lies entirely in what you choose to hold back. Give her a little bit of friction to keep her sharp. Look her in the eyes and firmly say no sometimes. Pull away slightly when the dynamic starts to feel entirely too easy. Laugh deeply when she actually expects you to be incredibly serious. Unpredictability without a core purpose is just chaotic madness. But unpredictability backed by a strong masculine presence is utterly magnetic. You become a dynamic force of nature. You become full of sharp angles, complex ideas, and dangerous edges. She simply cannot figure you out, and that drives her absolutely wild. She cannot just swipe past you like another pathetic message in her inbox. Keep her constantly guessing by actively choosing the present moment over a rehearsed pattern. You have learned to control the emotional current and break the boring scripts. But how do you completely shift her perspective so that she sees you as the ultimate prize? We are about to flip the entire dynamic. You have just learned how to break her predictable scripts and hijack her emotional state. But now we must fundamentally flip the dynamic so that she sees you as the ultimate prize. Let us talk about confidence. Confidence is not what you say out loud. It is absolutely not a rehearsed pickup line you memorized from the internet. It is not wearing incredibly expensive clothes or walking into a room like you own the place just to overcompensate for your deep insecurities. Real confidence is you do not feel the desperate need to prove. And women feel that silent power instantly. They sense it the very second you walk into a room. It lives in your relaxed posture. It lives in the slow, deliberate way you take your time when you speak. It is deeply rooted in your eye contact. Not intense, creepy staring, and not nervously searching her eyes for approval. Just a grounded, unbothered presence. Most modern men tragically confuse true confidence with a loud performance. They genuinely think they have to act bold, speak over people, and violently dominate the physical space. But that is not confidence at all. That is just screaming anxiety dressed up in loud noise. A truly confident man is not trying to actively convince anyone of his worth. He is never desperately chasing reactions or fishing for compliments. He already deeply knows exactly who he is, and that internal knowing is fiercely magnetic. Let us get incredibly clear on this biological reality. You cannot fake this energy. Women are profoundly, emotionally intuitive creatures. If you are secretly insecure and terrified underneath the surface, she will pick up on that frequency before you even say a single word. So where does this invincible, real confidence actually come from? It comes from absolute presence. When you are fully in your body, fully in the present moment, and not living nervously inside your own head worrying about the outcome, she feels it. She feels that you are not blindly reacting to her. You are simply responding to the reality of what is. That unwavering presence, deeply rooted in the ancient philosophy of Stoicism, is your unbreakable foundation. It is the practiced ability to stay entirely calm in the middle of chaos. It is the power to not be completely shaken by a text message left on read. It is the strength to not emotionally spiral out of control when she suddenly acts distant or moody. Because here is the brutal secret that most men completely miss. She is not testing you to hurt your feelings. She is testing you to feel the strength of your masculine core. She is aggressively pushing against your frame to see if you will break. And if you break, she immediately loses all respect for you. But when you hold your frame, when you stay effortlessly composed, you become a rare artifact. When you refuse to quickly explain yourself out of fear or aggressively chase her to fix the vibe, you elevate yourself above every other man she knows. Most men fold under this pressure immediately. They get wildly emotional, highly reactive, and pathetically desperate. They over-communicate, sending walls of text trying to fix a problem that does not even exist. But you radiate an intimidating calm. You deeply know that your fundamental worth as a man is not based on her temporary mood today. You are not violently thrown off your path just because she is acting distant. You fully trust yourself. And that internal trust is the exact biological signal she has been desperately waiting to find in a man. Let me give you a very real, uncomfortable example. Let us say you are sitting together at a bar, you are talking, and things are flowing perfectly. Then, suddenly, she abruptly turns cold, becomes heavily distracted, and starts staring at her phone. Most guys would immediately panic. They would lean in harder, try desperately to say something funny, and attempt to aggressively win her attention back. You do the exact opposite. You slowly sip your drink. You smile slightly to yourself. You remain entirely unaffected because you know your internal vibe speaks much, much louder than her temporary shift in energy. That is the true definition of confidence. Not loud, not forced, just completely unshaken. And this stoic power does not stop with just your presence. It bleeds into the very way you physically move through the world. You do not walk fast like you are frantically chasing time. You move deliberately, with immense purpose. You do not rush to nervously fill the silences in conversation. You let those silences breathe heavily in the air. And when you finally speak, you speak clearly and without hesitation. You never apologize for your genuine opinions. You do not subtly lower your voice when talking about your high standards. You refuse to shrink yourself to make her feel more comfortable, because you are not trying to be universally liked. Simply be being yourself. And here is what miraculously happens when you start living like that. She starts subconsciously adjusting herself to fit you. Your powerful energy becomes the dominant frame that she eagerly steps into. But what happens when you start reflecting her deepest psychological needs back to her? Keep your eyes open, because this next strategy changes the game entirely. Strategy number 6 is to masterfully mirror her desires. Here is the undeniable truth most men never figure out before they die. She is not looking for your exact clone. She is looking for a reflection. Not a reflection of her own identity, but a reflection of her unspoken, hidden desires. And if you can successfully mirror that back to her without trying, without performing, she will start aggressively chasing you without even realizing why. Most guys go about this the entirely wrong way. They desperately try to identically match her hobbies. They pathetic mimic her interests, her specific language, and her entire lifestyle. This is nothing but toxic, people-pleasing heavily disguised as compatibility. Women are not biologically attracted to sameness. They are deeply drawn to polarity, to tension, and to a man who represents the exact emotion they are too guarded to admit they crave. So, what does mirroring her desires actually mean in the real world? It means becoming a flawless reflection of what her feminine energy is secretly drawn to. Absolute stability, dark mystery, masculine leadership, unwavering direction, and emotional strength. You do not do this because she specifically asked for it. You do it because your natural energy answers a profound question she did not even know she was asking. Let us completely break this down. She tells you she wants someone who is emotionally available. Most weak guys interpret that as an invitation to overshare, to constantly text, and to force vulnerability on demand. But what she actually wants is a man who can feel things deeply, but absolutely never loses himself in those feelings. She secretly wants an emotional rock she can lean heavily into, not a chaotic emotion she has to manage and mother. So, when you stay completely calm when she gets erratic, you are mirroring her core desire. When you refuse to take her fluctuating moods personally, you mirror her need for safety in a masculine presence. And that specific trait is incredibly rare in the modern dating market. Maybe she says she loves a man with a great sense of humor. Again, foolish guys start rapidly cracking jokes like a dancing monkey, trying desperately to impress her. But the truth is, it is never about the actual punchlines. It is about the feeling of absolute freedom. She wants to feel light, entirely unburdened, and able to let go of her anxieties. So, when you are effortlessly playful, completely unreactive, and carry absolutely no emotional heaviness, you are reflecting what she desperately wants to feel around you. You are not matching her energy, you are elevating it. And here is where the steel of Stoicism kicks into overdrive. To flawlessly mirror her desires, you must first completely detach from needing her validation. You absolutely cannot reflect what she wants if you are still quietly chasing her approval. The true Stoic man does not desperately guess what she needs. He flawlessly embodies truth, mental clarity, and iron discipline. He then lets her choose whether or not to step into that powerful space. That is what is so undeniably attractive. Not that you are frantically trying to give her everything, but that you already are exactly what she is looking for without a single compromise. Sometimes she will inevitably pull back. She will turn cold, distant, and start testing your boundaries. You do not chase her. You do not emotionally collapse. You do not offer lengthy, pathetic explanations. You stand perfectly still, emotionally clean, and spiritually unmoved. What does that exactly mirror back to her? It mirrors the reality that her emotional drama does not control the masculine core. It proves that your solid frame is not built on the shaky foundation of her mood. She physically feels that rigid boundary. And while part of her ego may resist it, the deeper, primal part of her deeply respects it. You do not falsely flatter her. You actually see her. That is exactly why she remembers you while she forgets everyone else. Because while every other man mirrored her shallow surface, you stared directly into her core. But how do you force her to recognize you as the ultimate prize? Listen to this very carefully. Strategy number 7 is forcing the dynamic shift. Let us make one thing crystal clear right now. If she does not genuinely see you as the prize, she will never, ever chase you. And no, this is not about blind arrogance. This is about ruthless positioning. It is about aggressively flipping the tragic dynamic most modern men get trapped in. The dynamic where the man becomes the desperate beggar and she effortlessly becomes the grand reward. You want her to chase you relentlessly. Then you must stop treating her attention like it is solid gold and treating yours like it is completely free. Most guys simply do not comprehend this. They place her on a massive pedestal. They act like her beauty, her presence, and her precious time is something they must constantly exhaust themselves to earn. So they nervously adjust their lives, they overgive, they overpursue, and they shrink their own masculine presence. And do you know exactly what happens? The exact second she subconsciously feels that power shift, where you need her significantly more than she needs you, the attraction instantly dies. Women do not chase men who chase them. Women chase men who relentlessly chase their own purpose. Being the prize does not mean acting emotionally cold or physically distant. It means being heavily anchored in your reality. It means you know exactly who you are, and you know exactly where you are going. And absolutely anyone who is lucky enough to come into your world is privileged to be there. That definitively includes her. This is the ultimate application of Stoicism. Stoicism teaches that you never beg for external validation. You ruthlessly control what is internal. You absolutely do not base your self-worth on outcomes, other people's opinions, or female attraction. You live strictly by your values, by your fierce direction, and by your unbending discipline. That is what makes you the undeniable prize. Not because you are desperately trying to be chosen by her, but because you have already aggressively chosen yourself. Look at Guy. Guy sees a beautiful woman, drops every single goal he has, starts chasing, over-texts, and plans his entire week around her. He is instantly on her schedule, trapped in her approval loop, riding her emotional roller coaster. Now look at Guy B. Guy B sees the exact same beautiful woman. He notices her beauty, but he absolutely does not flinch. He keeps his own steady rhythm. He completely refuses to make himself small to fit into her chaotic life. She has to actively step up to be a part of his world. One man is desperately trying to be enough. The other man already is. Guess which one she starts obsessing over when she is lying alone in the dark? When you truly embody being the prize, you stop trying to constantly impress people. You focus entirely on self-expression. You stop heavily editing your personality to be more likable to the masses. You live in your absolute frame with zero need to ever apologize for it. You do not rush to reply to her messages, not as a cheap tactic, but because your time is actually valuable. You completely reject last-minute plans. Not out of spite, but out of pure self-respect. You do not fear her reaction, because the prize never begs to be kept. The prize simply knows it will be deeply missed. You lean back while every other desperate man leans in. You do not need her to graciously choose you. You are silently watching to see if she even qualifies to stay in your presence. That flips the entire psychological dynamic. She starts intensely wondering if she is doing enough to keep your attention. She starts thinking about you non-stop because you are not flooding her with unearned validation. You are offering your access in small, measured, highly controlled doses. That is exactly what high-value masculine energy feels like in the real world. And the feminine is biologically drawn to that extreme polarity. Do not just pretend to act like the prize. Become it. Build your empire. Protect your internal peace. Guard your high standards with your life. Live your powerful mission like absolutely no one is coming to save you. Because when you walk through this world like you have an empire to protect, you force her to feel like she has something massive to earn. And that is the exact moment the chase truly begins. You are the prize now. But how do you strictly manage that access and make her prove she is actually worthy of it without saying a single word? Listen closely. You are the prize now, but to cement this reality, you must ruthlessly manage her access to you. Strategy number 8 is a fundamental law of human psychology. Let her earn access to your world. If you give away too much of yourself too soon, she will immediately check out. This is not because she is ungrateful or manipulative. It is because when anything is handed over too easily, it loses its perceived value instantly. Most modern men falsely believe that granting total access equals building attraction. They think that if they show her all their kindness, their intense loyalty, and their deep heart on the first date, she will recognize their worth. But what actually happens in reality? She gets far too comfortable, then she gets incredibly bored, and then she starts to pull away. You are not being rejected because you are not good enough. You are being rejected because you made your valuable presence completely free before she ever earned it. You must flip this immediately. You are not an open-door policy. You are not a public Wi-Fi network that anyone can easily connect to. You are a stoic man on a profound mission, and anything or anyone that wants to get close to that mission better be heavily qualified. Do not pour your undivided attention on her just because she has an attractive face. Physical attraction is incredibly common, but masculine discipline is exceptionally rare. The man who withholds his full attention until he sees genuine intent always stands out from the desperate crowd. You do not withhold your time because you are scared or playing childish games. You withhold it because you are highly selective. That is the distinct difference between a desperate boy and a grounded man. Let her work fiercely for different levels of your attention. Let her earn your softness. Let her earn your vulnerability. Let her earn time on your sacred calendar. When she is forced to invest her effort into you, she will begin to deeply value you. This leads directly into strategy number 9. You must dramatically slow down the chase. If you move too fast, you lose her entirely. It sounds counterintuitive to the modern, frantic brain, but it is an absolute law of attraction. The worst part is that you think moving quickly builds romantic momentum. What you are actually building is a massive wall of emotional resistance. When you move too fast, you do not give her any time to actually feel anything. You leave absolutely no space for her to miss you. You leave zero room for genuine curiosity to build. Attraction lives entirely in the tension, and tension only exists when there is strategic pacing. Most men rush this process because they are terrified. They are afraid she will lose interest, or that another man will seamlessly take their place. But that desperate, frantic energy is biologically repelling. A stoic man completely detaches from urgency. He understands that deep desire requires time and empty space to naturally bloom. Do not rush to seamlessly match her rapid texting speed. Do not desperately go from a first date to acting like her emotional diary in 48 hours. Control the tempo of the interaction. The longer you stretch the empty space between interactions, the more intense the psychological buildup becomes in her mind. Silence is not disinterest. Silence is a masterstroke of strategy. When you pace the connection, you stop reacting and start directing. That brings us to the final, most devastating weapon in your arsenal. Strategy number 10. Seduce her mind, not just her physical body. Let us be brutally honest for a second. Any average guy with a decent face and a gym membership can temporarily turn a woman's head. But turning her mind and locking down her thoughts is an entirely different league. Women do not just fall for a physical body. They fall for an invisible, psychological pull that they cannot even name. That powerful rhythm does not start with a cheap pickup line. It starts completely in your unshakable presence. Seduction is not about aggressively flexing your accomplishments or your bank account. It is about actively triggering profound intrigue. It is the tense space between what she actually knows about you and what she desperately wants to know. Most guys violently bypass the mind and go physical far too fast. They push for cheap validation by trying to act artificially sexy. If you want to be truly unforgettable, you must make her think about you long after you leave the room. When she is lying alone in her bed, staring at the ceiling in the dark, your name should be echoing in her mind. You achieve this by leading the conversation completely away from boring clichés. Do not ask her what she does for a paycheck. Look her in the eyes and ask what makes her lose complete track of time. Ask her who she truly becomes when absolutely no one is watching. Open that psychological door gently, without an aggressive agenda, and watch her eagerly walk through it. Hold your grounded, masculine frame while giving her the total freedom to safely explore her own femininity. Remain completely unshaken when she tests you, flirts with you, or plays hot and cold. Show her exactly what it feels like to sit across from a man who does not need to chase her in order to be desired. Do this, and you will not just be another fleeting memory. You will become the standard by which she ruthlessly judges every other man. This is not a list of cheap tactics. This is the profound evolution of who you are about to become. It is time to step out of the matrix of modern desperation. Subscribe to Stoic Chisel right now if you are ready to claim your true power. We are forging an unstoppable brotherhood. The modern dating matrix is specifically designed to keep you weak, chasing, and completely desperate. You have a definitive choice right now. You can close this video, go back to double texting, and continue begging for validation from people who do not even respect you. Or you can choose the unforgiving path of the Stoic. You can pull back your scattered energy, focus entirely on building your own empire, and force the world to earn your time. The power has always been in your hands. You just forgot how to wield it. So I have one final question for you. Are you going to remain a predictable servant to her attention? Or are you going to become